Hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where we have got an intriguingly named puzzle today called Quad van de Wetering by Potato Head 21. An absolutely brilliant constructor of normally quite difficult puzzles. And this is just I was going to use the adjective simple there, which is ludicrous. It is a simple, I've still used it, quadruples puzzle, which means that, so for example, in these four squares here, you have to find the digits 2, 5 and 9. In those digits, there have to be the digits 4 and 9. And that's all the rules apart from normal Sudoku rules, so it's not going to take long to go through those today. It's got 4 stars out of 5 for difficulty on Logic Masters Germany, and it's been recommended to us a lot recently, but apparently it is an older puzzle. So I don't know why we missed it when it first appeared, but we did. But we're going to try and put that right today and have a look at this, which I will talk to you about more in a moment or two. I've got some very exciting news. I hope you'll agree. Over on Patreon today, completely free, not behind the paywall, we have a brand new fog-themed pack for you from SANDRA and Nala to celebrate spring. Isn't that absolutely brilliant? So it's called Joyful Moments, as you can see. And SANDRA has put together this absolutely beautiful pack. And you can play all these fog puzzles and have an absolute blast. So I hope that you enjoy that. Our Patreon, there's links to it in the video description. I might have a picture of it. I do. Here we go. Here's a picture of Nala. I think Nala's in the foreground, and that's Nala's best friend Nelly. Beautiful, beautiful dogs. And yeah, so that's a little bit of a bonus today. Fantastic from SANDRA and Nala, of course, to create something just as a gift to the community. So that's the first present. And speaking of presents, I've got a couple of birthday announcements to do today as well. So let's say very happy birthday over there in upstate New York to Fable. Fable, you've turned 14 today. And I know this because your mum Beth wrote and said that you'd appreciate a shout out. And I think you were celebrating with an eclipse party yesterday. So in fact, I'm not even sure I've got the right day for the birthday. It was a little bit ambiguous, but I had an absolute multitude of birthdays to do yesterday. So the powers that be decided that, Fable, we would say happy birthday to you today. I hope that's okay. I hope it's not late, and I know you were having some sort of chocolate cake because I saw a picture of it, but I hope it was a very good chocolate cake. And the other birthday I've got to do today is to a very well-known Sudoku constructor by the name of Riffclown. Riffclown, happy birthday, my friend. I would watch Mark's video later if I were you, Riffclown. I think you might find something you'll enjoy there. I will say no more about that. Do I have any other news? No. So let's have a look at Quad van de Wetering, which I will say with the accent, by Potato Head 21, who I think also goes under I think on Discord, Potato Head 21 is called the Sonic person. Now, if I have got that wrong, that's going to be an awful mistake, but I think that's right. Anyway, the rules of this puzzle are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply, so the digits 1 to 9 have to go in each row, in each column, and in each 3x3 box. And then digits in circles must appear in one of the 4 cells surrounding that circle. So we've sort of already done that. They have to contain a 2, a 3, and a 5. Looks like the font's different for that 3. Is that just my... That must be just my vision going mad. Do have a go. The way to play is to click link under the video. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now the great thing you can do... Well, in fact, there's two things I want to say about this puzzle before we do anything with it. The first is that I am intrigued by why you would call a puzzle Quad van de Wetering. I do have an idea about why that might be the case. But the other thing I wanted to say is that quad puzzles normally have this lovely ability to work with sort of virtual X-wings. So, for example, I've seen something here. We know that there is an 8 in this 2x2, and we know there's an 8 in this 2x2. So we can ask sort of semi-facetious questions that have interesting answers. So let's ask the question, if we complete this puzzle correctly, how many 8s are we expecting there to be in row 6? And hopefully your answer will be there'll be 1 8 in row 6. Correct. How many 8s should there be in row 7? There should be 1 8, shouldn't there? So altogether, these cells here contain 2 8s. But we know that there are 2 8s in those 8 cells, because there's an 8 there and there's an 8 there. So there can't be any 8s in those squares. Okay, I've now seen one result of that, which is amusing, at least amusing to me. There is an 8 in one of those squares, and that is because the lowest of hanging fruits in a quadruple, which I hadn't noticed, I'm so unobservant, is that these squares here have to be 2, 3, 4, and 6, look, because there are 4 digits in that quadruple clue. So but that's still useful now, because now we know that by the 8's logic we just found, there's an 8 in this domino, so there's an 8 in this domino now. Whoopsie, wrong pencil mark. Yeah, just a quick one there. The reason I put digits in a corner of a box is if I know what I'm doing there is box logic. So I'm saying the 8 in box 5 is in one of those 2 cells. If I put an 8 in the middle of a box like that, I'm saying that that is one of the candidates for this cell. So if I was to fully pencil mark all of those 7 cells now, we wouldn't find any 8s in any of those cells because of the logic I've got for the corner pencil mark there. That is something, it's called Snyder notation. It's something I picked up years ago. And it's how I roll when I solve Sudoku. Now, I'm not seeing much. Oh no, here's something. 4 and 6 are in common between those 2 quadruple clues. So we can run exactly the logic we did with 8s with 4s here. And we know that none of these squares now can contain 4, because the 2 4s in columns 1 and 2 must be in the 2 quadruple clues. And that means, look, we know there's a 4 in one of 3 places in box 1 now. And the same is true with 6, of course. 6 is coincident there, look. So 6, another way of thinking about this sort of logic is to say, okay, well, where's 6 in row 6 now? It can't go there and it can't go there, so it has to be in one of those squares. Oh no, I was about to say something about 3s that would have been nonsense, so I will refrain from that. 2s. There's 2s coincident there. So again, where's the 2 in column 6? It's got to be down here. Actually doing a remark. Oh, 9? Yeah, that's doing something, isn't it? So 9, because the 2 9s in columns 6 and 7 are confined to these 8 cells, we can't have a third 9 there. So that, oh, I don't want, yeah, okay, so what I was just saying about pencil marking, I don't want to do that like that, because I just explained that a corner pencil mark is box logic. So if I was to write 9 in one of those, that's immediately breaking that rule, because I'm not saying the 9 in this box is confined to only that cell. Obviously, I'm saying the 9 around this quadruple is confined to one of those squares. That's very annoying, actually. I'm going to have to try and remember that 9 is in one of those 2 squares. Right, here's something interesting. Yeah, okay, so this goes back to my earlier question. Let me just think about this though, hang on. Yeah, okay, so my earlier question was going to be, why is this puzzle called Quad van der Wetering? And I am deeply suspicious actually about these 2 quadruple clues in that context, because those of you who've been watching the channel will know that probably the world's most famous Sudoku constructor is Ard van der Wetering, the Dutch constructor, who is responsible for a puzzle that we christened something like a Sudoku with only 4 given digits. that's been viewed 9 million times or something. Ard makes fantastic puzzles. Now, one thing that Ard did a bit later on, after creating that puzzle, is he came up with a bit of Sudoku geometry, which I think might be interesting here. So what Ard was able to do was he showed that there was a way of drawing an equivalence between these cells and those cells in any Sudoku. And the difference between these cells, there are 7 of these cells, there should be 16 of these cells, and there are, is one set of the digits 1 to 9. And this looks interesting to me. I will show you the proof of this, but let me just explain why I think this might be interesting. We've got, I can't put, you see the 1s and 7s around this quadruple clue and this quadruple clue? Well, that's going to mean that there's at least 1 1 and at least 1 7 in this little V-shaped chevron. And that feels to me like it's telling me something, therefore, about this great big purple region. Because that must have 2 1s and 2 7s in it. I think that's right, isn't it? So let me show you the proof first, and then we can think about this some more. So the proof is very straightforward. The proof just says, okay, could we exactly state what the contents of those purple cells are in a Sudoku? And the answer is yes, collectively. Obviously, we don't know the disposition of the digits within the purple region, but we do know exactly what these cells are. They must be the digits 1 to 9 5 times, because this is 5 complete rows of the Sudoku. Now, what are these digits? Those green digits. Well, those green digits must be 4 complete sets of the digits 1 to 9, because that is 4 complete columns of the Sudoku. Now here's the question. What would happen if we removed this cell? Well, the point here is that because that cell was in green and because that cell was in purple, the difference between what's left in purple and what's left in green must be the same as it was before, because that was the same thing we took out of both sets. And the difference between purple and green before we did anything was 1 set of the digits 1 to 9, because purple was 5 sets of the digits 1 to 9 and green was 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9. So if I take the same thing out of both sets, I'm not changing what is accounting for the difference. So we can reach this position, and we know that the difference between purple and green is 1 set of the digits 1 to 9. But if I now remove box 1, which contains 1 set of the digits 1 to 9, and box 9 from green, I've removed the same thing now from purple and green by doing that, because those digits will collectively be the same as those digits. We get to Ard's theorem, if you like. And obviously you can spin this round. You could do it so it was those squares against these squares, or these squares against those squares. That's totally true. But obviously in this puzzle, well, I say obviously, but to me it is shouting a bit that there is some, I'm being led towards deductions here that look interesting, and I've got complete quads in and around box 1, which look like they're trying to tell me something. So this looks the most natural Ard van de Wetering or quad van de Wetering way of thinking about Ard's theorem in this context. But what I am not sure about is what... Well, okay, so I might now be proving that just 1 equals 1, in the sense that 2 equals 2. Because what I've just seen is, look, there's a 2 quad here and a 2 quad here. So I know that purple contains at least 2 2s. But I know that green, The difference between purple and green is one set of the digits 1 to 9. So if I remove 1, 2 from purple, because one set of the digits 1 to 9 is the difference, that implies that green should have a 2 in it, but green does have a 2 in it, so I've managed to prove absolutely nothing there. Yeah, it's the same. It's exactly the same logic with the 6s, isn't it? So the fact is that the quad was telling us there's a 6 down here. Oh, bobbins. Okay, so maybe this is not what I meant to do. It's not going to be... Well, the other thought was the 1s and 7s, wasn't it? Because if I put a 1 or a 7 here, let's say that's a 1, then clearly the 1 or the 7 around this quad is forced into the green chevron. So there must be at least 1 1 and 1 7 in green, which means there must be 2 1s and 2 7s at least in purple. I don't know what really to do with that. Sorry, I realise I've stopped talking. It's because I'm trying to understand what on earth this means. Oh, I'm sorry. What does this mean? I've got to have... There is something going on here. There is. Because the same logic... Yeah, how could I not put an 8 in green down here? Given there's an 8 around that quadruple and there's an 8 around that quadruple. If I tried not to put an 8 around green here, I'd have to put it here. And then the 8 around that one would be in the quadruple. It would be in the green, sorry. The 8 around this quadruple. So there's at least one... Yeah, I could put 2 8s in the green. But there is at least 1 8 in the green. So one of those is definitely an... that's such a bad pencil mark, but I was going to do that. And the same is true, I now see, for 9 here. I could put one... because I've got to put 2 9s in that section of the grid. I can't put them both in this column, so one of them's going to be here. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, that thinking of it that way is interesting. So if we're saying no, because we could have 2. We could have 2. That's the problem. All right. So now, if we just take an audit of what the digits are within green, they're 2 6. 1 at least. They're at least 2 6 1 7 8 9. So there's only one digit missing. So I could have a repeated 1. I could repeat any of those digits probably. Or bingo. Or we could notice there are 2 5s. Oh, this is gorgeous. Right, there are 2 5s in purple. Now, therefore, there must be a 5 in green, because the difference between green and purple is only one set of the digits 1 to 9. One set of the digits 1 to 9 contains 1 5. So, right, so now I actually know what these digits are exactly. There are no repeats. And I might be about to do the most ludicrous pencil mark in the history of cracking the cryptic. I mean, what I want to do is put 1. What are the digits in here? Why can't I? 1. There's a 2 in there, isn't there? There's no 3. Is there no 4 actually? I don't think there's a 4. There's a 5 because we found the 5 over here. There's a 6, so there is a 6. And there's a 7 and there's an 8 and then, yeah, so there's 7, 8 and 9. So we get to this ludicrous thing, but I'm going to be able to improve upon this because the 6 I know is up here, so I know none of these is 6. The 2 is here, so I know none of these are 2. I now know there is no repeated 8. So this can't be an 8 because we must have an 8 in this section of the grid. So that's not 8. The same is true of 9. That's not 9. I know there's 1, 1 and 1, 7. And they must occupy these squares, but I don't know how they occupy those squares, but none of these squares can be 1 or 7 as a result. Look at these are coming down. This is a quite brilliant puzzle as well, isn't it? Already, I mean, I don't know how to solve it yet, but it's brilliant in the sense that it's very, very unusual to have to do this with quadruple clues. So now 4 around this quadruple is there, because it is not in green, which means 4 is there, look, around this quadruple clue, which means, okay, so 4 is there around that quadruple clue. Which sort of feels like slightly interesting. Well, no, I can do much better than, that is sick. That full stop, that is sick. Because why don't I just take my own advice? How could there be 2 4s in purple? If there are 2 4s in purple, there has to be at least 1 4 in green, and there are no 4s in green. So I can't have that as a 4 because I'd have 2 4s in purple. And that gives us a digit. So similarly, there must be a 4 in this domino. Oh, which I could have got from Sudoku, but I got from thinking about the fact there wasn't another 4 in purple. Oh dear, dear, dear. Oh, now I forgot about this pencil mark 9 that's living across this box. So, okay. So the other digit that's not, repeated in purple is 3. Because if there was a repeated 3 in purple, there would be a repeated 3 in green. So 3 in this box is down here. 3 is not repeated in purple, so 3 is here in box 5. Oh, now. Bobbins, I don't know. Okay. So how do we do this then? It's going to be, oh, I'm sorry, I'm now not seeing the wood for the trees. I'm trying to scan this at the same time as thinking about how these things interact, and I'm getting a bit lost. I've got so many pencil marks now. These are the sorts of puzzles I really struggle with. If I have to excessively pencil mark, my brain sort of goes into overdrive. And I find it very hard, oh, that's not 4 anymore, to keep track of what's going on. So, part of the problem, I think, is I can't keep track of, you know, like I do know one of these isn't, yeah, okay, so where's 8 in box 4? That's a reasonable question. Because I know that the 8, oh look, hang on. There's no 8 down here. Because we know that the 8 in green is governed, if you like, by these 2 quadruple clues. Yeah, okay, so there must be an 8 here, because there are not 2 8s in green. So the only way I can fit 2 8s now into this quadruple, or these 2 quadruples, is if I put an 8 in one of these. And the same is going to be true by the sort of similar logic that's applying with the 9s in these quadruples. But that does mean I can't do the pencil mark, but it means one of these is an 8. It means one of these is a 9. And that's sort of helping me to know that there's a 9 in one of these 2. But in this box, it helps me a bit with 8s, look, because I've got this pencil mark. So this is very interesting now, because that has to be 4, 5, 6, and 8 as an actual quadruple. which sort of feels like it might matter. He says, not actually, I can't actually deduce why that matters, but it's something, isn't it? Do we know? Oh, look, I've got an 8 there, so that's not 8. So maybe I know this digit somehow. If that's 5. Well, no, that looks completely possible, actually. It's probably harder for this to be 9. Yeah, if this is 9, that's 9, isn't it? Around this quadruple where we know there's a 9 in one of those squares. Nine in one of these as well. Golly, I don't know. Okay. I don't know what to do. Come on. I know we're on the right lines. This must be deliberate. So there must just be... Oh yeah, I know what I was going to do. I was going to take 9 out of there and 8 out of there. That must be true. So I've slightly improved our lot in life by doing that. Look at this one. There's a 6 around that one. Hadn't spotted this. That's got to go there. Which means there's a 6 in one of those two. Which means there's a 6 in one of these two. That's very annoying. Okay. Oh no, I cannot see how to use this at all. It's not this box, is it? Okay, let's go back to this where we started. What do we need here? 1 5 1 5 7 8 9. So these are 1 5 7 9. 1 2. I do know there's here. Oh, here's a point. This is a strange one. Yeah, okay, I like that. Where's 2 in this box? Now, I think it's not here, because I've already got my 2 2s in purple in these quadruples, and I know there's only 2 2s in purple because there's 1 2 in green, so there's no third 2 here, which means 2 is down here. Thing is, I don't really know what... I mean, I know the options for these, but I don't... No, I don't really know what they are. These squares are a bit more restricted now. 1 7 9. But that... I suppose... If that was a 9, that would be a 1 7 pair. Oh no, that's wrong. That's wrong. I see. Okay, so that's not... Yeah, that's interesting. Right. This is where we look. Where this digit is interesting, because I've got to put 1 and 7 around this quadruple clue, but that cannot be a 1 or a 7, because if that is a 1 or a 7, look what I've got here. A 1 7 9 triple. And if you look at box 7, none of these quadruple clues are 1 7 or 9, so the 1 7 9 would all be crammed in to this 2-cell space, and I can't put 3 different digits in 2 spaces, so that won't work. And that means, look, that the 1 and the 7 around this quadruple clue have to be in exactly those 2 squares. And this square, well, we don't have a clue really, do we, what that square is? I don't know. Well, I know it's not 1 or 7. Or 9, I suppose. Probably. Is it worth pencil marking this? I don't think. Well, let's think. It's not 1. Could it be 2? Yes. Could it be 3? Absolutely. Can't be 4 by Sudoku. Could it be 5? Yeah, see, this is the problem. It could be. I think it can be an absolute plethora of things. 6 probably. 7 no. 8 no. Actually, there is an 8 down there. 9 no, because 9 gives us the same problem as if this is 1 or 7. So that is 2, 3, 5 or 6. That's hopeless. That is hopeless, isn't it? Okay. Oh dear, dear, dear. So what do we do with that knowledge then? Well, okay. 1, 7, 8, 9. I wonder. Nearly. These squares are a little bit interesting. Because there's a 4 and a 6 here and a 2, 3, 5 in the quad. So actually those squares are from 1, 7, 8 and 9. That's not 8, by dint of 8 being in these squares. Oh, okay, here's something. 8 in this box, in box 8, is down here. In fact, it's even further down than that. It's in one of those two, because I've got this 8 pencil mark across here. That's very interesting, because I've now got a 1, 7, 9 triple in row 3, which means 9 around that quadruple is in one of 2 places. So 9 is in this domino as well. So 9 in box 1. Well, I'm going to say it's in those 2 squares. I don't think it can be here, can it? For the same reason this couldn't have been a 9. We can't do anything that makes these squares 1 and 7. Or we can't. To put it a different way, none of those squares can be 1, 7 or 9. So that digit is only a 2 or a 3. That's strange. Because it can't be 4, 5, 6, 8, 1, 7 or 9. Okay, here's a different way of thinking about that then. So those 2 digits there have to live in those 2 squares, don't they? Now, what does that mean? I haven't got a clue. I feel like that's doing something there that I don't quite understand. Like if that's a 1, 7 pair, this is a 1, 7 pair. Ah, interesting. Right, here's a point. I think that's a 9. I might be wrong about this, but I'm thinking about this domino. So that domino, well, let's label it up. We know those digits are from 1, 7 and 9 by Sudoku, because those 2 cells have to live in those 2 squares in box 7. Now, let's think again about these 3 digits. Because we know there's a 6 here. But one of the things that we've learnt, ever since this couldn't be an 8, is that there is an 8 there as well. And that must be important in the context of whether this can be a 1, 7 pair. Because if this is a 1, 7 pair, these two digits are 1 and 7, but we know that digit would simultaneously then have to be 6 and 8. It would have to be a Schrödinger cell and be alive and dead at the same time. And it cannot be. So actually, we can't have this be a 1-7 pair, and that means we can't have this be a 1-7 pair, and that means that square is a 9, which is absolutely beautiful. So now I know there's a 9 in this domino, and I know that's not a 9. And I suppose that's not a 9. But I do know that one of these is a 1 or a 7, and that 1 or a 7 will have to go up here. So these squares cannot include 5 now, because these squares are made up of 6, 8, and whatever the 1 or 7 digit is from here, so we can take 5 out of these squares. This is fascinating. This is absolutely fascinating. So, yeah, okay. So now what we should do, surely, is colour this this digit, and not that one actually. Or maybe I'll have to have colour for that one as well. I'm not sure. But what I was thinking is, this digit, which is 1 or 7, actually that's different from that one as well, isn't it? Because these are the only opportunities for 1 and 7 to live around this quadruple clue. But this digit I know is there. That one I know less about. Oh, well, I know it's in one of those, actually. Oh, no. No, this is just as good. Okay, that digit, where's that digit down here? It's not here because this includes 9. So it's in one of those squares. Don't know which one. Which means in this box, look, where does it go? By Sudoku, it goes there. So that is a red 1 or 7. And I've pushed now this to be a 2-3 pair. So that's good. And now this red digit has to be in that domino, because it must exist around this 1-7 quadruple, but it can't be in these two squares. So there's a red digit here. But I think what led me on this route was I was thinking about where the blue digit goes. The blue digit being this one, because this blue digit has to live around this quadruple, and therefore it has to live in those two squares. But that, remember, it can't now repeat round here. So in this quadruple, this blue digit must be in those two squares. Okay, and I've got a 9 pencil mark down here. So assuming that's not a bogus question mark, that means these digits are from 1, 7 and 9, because there's the blue digit and a 9 in there. But that means that the red digit, which is 1 or 7, that has to flow around here, can't be in there. Or obviously it can't be in there, so the red digit is in one of those two squares. Which means the red digit is in one of those squares. The blue digit must be in those squares. This is really cool. Oh, I see. Oh, this is lovely. Right. Now, where is the blue digit in box 5? And the answer is there. Because the blue digit has now appeared twice in purple. And we know it only appears once in green. Therefore, it cannot appear 3 times in purple. So that means when we have to allocate it to this box, we can't plonk it here, because it will then be in purple 3 times, so it must be there. So that is a 1 or a 7. It is not a 3. That's a 3 by Sudoku, which means one of those squares is a 3 by Sudoku. That's going to be useful, but we'll come back to that. Well, no, maybe we won't. So now 3 around this quadruple clue is in the top of it, which means 3 around that quadruple clue is in the top of it. But let's come back over here now, because having proved there's a 3 up here, we now know exactly the composition of this quadruple clue. It's 2, 5, 9 and 3. And we know a little bit about the 9s. 2, 3. Yeah, and now... no, we don't. Well, we know a little bit. Blue, which is the 1 or 7 digit, is up there now. Which means blue is in one of those 2 squares. I don't know if we know which one. Does this keep going? I'm not sure. Red is in one of those 2 squares, so that's not red. So now there's a sort of... Oh, I see. Yeah, this is good. I should get that digit, shouldn't I? Because if I've got 8 down here, along with a 1 or a 7, then these squares are from 1, 7 and 8. And that we can see that these squares together are a 1, 7, 8, 9 quadruple, which means that square is the odd digit. That's a 5, which means that's not a 5 now. This... Ooh, that's weird. That seems to have become a 2. Which is slightly terrifying. That's come out of nowhere. It doesn't seem to be breaking anything. Okay. Here's a little thing I can see as a result of that. So 5 is in one of these 4 squares in box 9. 5 is in one of those 4 squares in box 3. So 5 in column 7 is going to have to be in a domino. That's all I've got, but that seems to be true. Now, what could we do with this knowledge? Oh, I don't know. I've nearly got things going on in row 3, you know, because I've got this 1, 7, 9 triple that seems interesting. You almost need an ability to tick off the quadruple, like this 3 and this 2, 5, 9 I've sort of used, so I don't need to think about those again, but I'm still finding myself thinking about them again. That 4 pencil mark gives me a little bit of tidying up over here. But how do we keep this going, or how do we maintain and get any momentum from what we've now learnt? Am I meant to pencil mark these squares, do you think? Maybe. Yeah, okay. So I know that 1, 6, 7 and 8 are that is a quadruple of 1, 6, 7 and 8. So these squares are from 4, 5 and 9. So there's like a 4, 5, 9 triple here. Now that might be good. Well, remember we know there's a 9 in one of those squares, so that's not 9. It would be very easy to overlook one of the implications of these. Well, hang on. It would be very... Yeah, where's 9 around that one? That's a very reasonable question. That's a very reasonable question, Simon. Where's 9 around that one? I've got a 9 here looking at that square. That doesn't appear to be able to be 9, so that's 9. Good grief. Oh, I'm sorry if you've been shouting at me about that. I mean, I don't know how I was meant to see that quickly, but anyway, I've seen it. There's a 5 definitely here now. That's not 9. So this has become a 4, 5 pair. What's that doing? Oh, no. What I was about to say was gibberish. No. I was about to come out with more gibberish. Well, we said one of these was a 9. It's not that one now. So that's a 9. That's going to be useful, isn't it? Because now that's indicated. We know exactly where blue is in this box all of a sudden. That has become blue, which means blue is in one of those squares along with its friend the 8. Look, so these are from 1, 7, 8, and one of them is blue. So these are now a 1, 5, 7, 8 quadruple. I don't want to do it, but I might have to. I might have to pencil mark these. I really don't want to do that. Oh, let's do it. 3, 4, 6 and 9, isn't it? But the 6 is there, so these are not 6s. That's not, this one is not a 9 by dint of this. So that's come right down. That's only 3 or 4, look. We know that's not 9 because I've got a 9 looking at it in this row. Can we do any better? See, this is where I'm terrible. I mean, I've just got so much clutter down here. And it could be that something is eliminating a digit. Oh, yeah, well, okay, where's 7 in that quadruple? That's a reasonable question, isn't it? Oh, well, that's massive. That's it. We've done it. We've done it. Because where's 7 around this quadruple? I don't think it can go there. So it has to go here. But that means it must be red. So now all of a sudden... well, this is going to do absolutely magical work, I think. So there has to be a 7 here. There's no 7 here, so we know blue is now 1. Wherever that occurs, we can take 7 out of any blue domino. Can't have. So this is 1, 6, 8 now. I suppose we already knew that somehow, but that seems to be true. These don't include 7, so this is a 1, 8 pair. This is a 1, 9 pair. I don't quite know how that works, but I think I don't want to say anything that gives us the opportunity to be hoisted by our own petard. So we'll just pause there for a moment and see if we can see what to do next. Well, probably it's these 2 squares, is it? They seem to have to be 6 and 8, which might be resolved by something, but I don't know what that something is. These squares, therefore, are 2, 3, 5 and 7. But do we know, can we do better than that? I know there's a 3 in one of these apparently, so I know these are not 3. Yeah, that's quite good. So now there's a 2, 5, 7, 9 quadruple in row 2. So the other digits that we need are 1, 3, 4, 6 and 8. Oh, goodness. I see, I don't want to pencil mark that. I really don't. Oh, I don't know. I don't know whether to pencil mark it or not. So I've got a similar thing going on here. Look, 2, 6, 7 and 8. I mean, can we do better than that? Well, we can take 8 out of those because of the 8 down here. I've got a 4. No, that doesn't seem to be doing it. So this quadruple clue's done, this quadruple clue's done, this quadruple clue, I've got the 3 in one of those squares. Okay, well I've got 3 here as well. So the 3 in this column has to be right at the bottom, so that these don't include 3, these 2 squares here. There's definitely a 3 in this, possibility of a 3 in the corner. That is one thing that seems to have happened as a result of all this shenanigans, all these shenanigans. Do we know? I know these are 1, 6 and 8. Can we do any better with that? That digit is 6 or 8. And I think that digit has to go up there, look. Along with 1, which is, right, so these digits are from 1, 6 and 8, definitely. Which means these digits now have to include, well, they have to include the red digit, that's true, in one of those squares. And they have to include 4. And what is the other digit that we need to put up there? It's going to be the one of 6 and 8 that we don't use. So these squares are now a 4, 6, 7, 8 quadruple. This is a 1, 9 pair. So 2, 3 and 5 in the column. That's a naked single. I don't believe it. Is that really true? That's just bonkers. I'm not sure I believe it, to be honest. It seems to follow logically, doesn't it? I mean, that's great. That is great as well. Because if that's 3, that's shunted this to become a 7, 8 pair. It's giving me a 4 here, which is doing some Sudoku business. This has become a 6 now. So we can do loads of tidying up of things. Well, maybe not loads, but certainly a little bit. There's a 2, 6, 7 triple in this column now, so that's going to have to be 3. Oh, that doesn't. That's really underwhelming. These don't include 4, do they? So they are 3 and 9. These don't include 5 anymore. Well, again, we've got a whole load of stuff going on here. I now know there's a 4 in one of these squares, which is taking 4 out of those squares. It's quite intricate. I'm going to be interested, assuming I solve this and it becomes a video, it's going to be interesting to see whether this was all very easy for some people. See, 2 and 5 now have to be in these squares, I think, which means 4 gets shunted over there. So these become 2 and 5 in column 7. 4 goes here, which means 4 goes there, look, so that's a little bit of a bonus. And now these squares in the corner have to be made up of 2, 5 and 6. So we'll put that in and then hope that something tells us how that resolves. We can take 5 out of that one. This 8 is doing something. That's 8, that's 1, that's 1, that's 9. That's 9, that's 3. Oh no, I didn't want that. That's taken my 3 out of the corner. Okay, that's sad, but it seems to have happened. Sorry, I got called away to resolve another Monopoly dispute, and then I forced myself to have a cup of tea because I needed to. Right, we're back. What were we doing? We were doing something down here, and then we were about to finish the puzzle, I've no doubt, and I, as usual, cannot remember what I was doing. I mean, one thing is quite interesting. When you come back to a puzzle, this feels like a very heavily pencil mark puzzle to me, compared to my usual style. I suppose we can go even more. 3. God, I can't even scan now. Where's 3 in that box? That's 3. So that must be a 7, 9 pair. So 7 can come out of some squares. Uselessly, unfortunately. I was going to say 3's up there. That seems to be true. 4 and 7 come out of this square, so that's only 6 or 8. There's a 6, 8 pair in column 7 now, so we've now got a 4, 7 pair at the top. Oh no. I've just seen something rather annoying. Where is the 8 around this quadruple clue? That's probably... if I hadn't stepped away, I bet you I wouldn't have seen that for ages. It's the sort of thing that you could just get... Oh, that's good. That's doing some things like 2 and 3. So these squares at the top of this column now... Oh, 3 around this quadruple clue's done. I think they have to be 4 and 6, which we might not know the order of, but we do at least now know a bit more than we did. That's 1, 8, so that's got to be 8, that's got to be 6, that's got to be 6, that's got to be 4, that's got to be 4, that's got to be 7. Yeah, okay, well this is good, because this indicates that we weren't too far away when I had to go and do the Monopoly arbitrating. That's a 3-5 pair now, so that's a... Oops, don't know what I pressed there. That's a 2-9 pair. Oh, that's good. So that's 2. That's 7, that's 5. That seems to have to be 8. So I should be able to get that. That's 7. 2-6 pair here. 8 comes out of those squares. Oh, come on, this must be done. 2, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I'm sure it's done somehow. These squares are 9 and 5. Okay, maybe that's not done. Those squares are 1 and 8. That feels better. Yeah, I can do that. 1, 8. Oh, I see. Once I got this resolved, I could have figured all this out. 9 and 5. These squares are... That square's a 6. So that square's a 4, and that square's a 2, and that square's a 6, and that square's a 4, and that square's a 2. And now, yeah, here we go. 2, 9, 9, 7, 7, 8, 8, 1. Yeah, 3, 5 can be done. 5, 6 can be done. That's a naked single. So that should be a 6. And we've just got these central pattern to resolve, and we can do that. Look, 6, 2, 2, 5. Oh, well, this is fine. Okay, I don't resent having to step away if we can just skip through the puzzle when we get back. Yay, brilliant. That is an absolutely brilliant puzzle. 225 days old. It's nearly a year old. Potato Head. I've said this before. Potato Head 21, take a bow. We had an absolute banger yesterday from Mr. Menace, and another absolute banger today from Potato Head 21. That is so clever. So clever. Such an original idea. Very well signalled. Quad van de Wetering indeed. But even once we knew what it was about, it still wasn't that straightforward, at least not for me, to figure out how to unwind all of the quadruple clues. There may have been a better way of doing it. Maybe a different colour scheme would have helped or something. I don't know. I look forward to the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.